Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another UFC Fight Night recap. Today we're covering the latest Fight Night card that happened this Saturday over in Abu Dhabi. One of the first fights that happened, I want to say this weekend, that was really exciting was Kazmat, who took a win over McGee, who was fighting on short rest. I think
Dominant one, by the way. Dominant.
Right, and he was the first fighter ever to win on 10 days rest, right?
Yeah, it was about 10-day difference. I can't believe we missed that part. So definitely want to apologize from that standpoint because I saw his previous fight, but I really didn't think it was the same guy. And one of my friends, Andrew, kind of called me out on that and said, "Dave, that was the guy that fought 10 days ago." But man, that was such a quick outing by him. He looks sharp. I mean, Whitaker was talking about him, and he's like, "Listen, let that guy climb up the ranks, and maybe he'll capture welterweight first." So.
And he won in the first round in only 3 minutes. I think from the beginning he basically grabbed McKee and just moved him to close to his side of the ring, and
as he said,
it was over.
Khabib, I mean, he smashed him, man. He did. Yeah. It was a quick outing by him. I mean, that guy definitely looks like a problem going forward, but it was exciting to watch him that quick make work of another man in the cage, man. McKee looked. Made him ragdoll.
For real, and McGee, I've never seen a player get picked up the way he got picked up in the beginning of the first round.
Right.
He got lifted off his feet and just moved. I was like, really? Like the guy was like squirming and he's like being moved. So I just thought that was super entertaining. The next fight was Alex Oliveira versus Peter Sabata. That one went to a decision. That went 3 rounds.
And here's the thing: we called both those, right? We did from the standpoint we liked Oliveira. I told you, hey, I like him. He has an awkward stance about him and an awkward way he fights. And they were talking about it on the broadcast the whole time too. But the guy's experience just tells you. I mean, he definitely can fight out there with any of those guys and really show up. And he did. He really outmaneuvered, outfought. It was a good fight for Oliveira, so it was a pretty decent fight.
I mean, do you think that going forward he's going to get any kind of big fights coming up? Like, who would you say is the next person that
for Oliveira? It's tough to say because he's not ranked. He doesn't have a ranked number. He probably will get a ranked guy. He's been ranked before, and he's dropped tremendously because he's lost a lot of fights recently. So these wins like this will help kind of, keep him relevant. Right. It's hard to really give him a guy. And even that's why they didn't really necessarily ask him for a call out too. I mean, it's just UFC is going to give him a guy. He's going to sign. He's going to fight him. I mean, he's really not going to be one of these guys that doesn't take fights. So it's hard to tell you who's next for Oliveira. Right. I'll just tell you that whoever he fights next, he might get another win if they give him another guy in that same stature. That's probably what they want because he's been so consistent for him.
Do you think that he's someone that might be able to reclimb up? Like, you think that he can get?
Yeah, I think so. I think his skills set tells that story where he could definitely climb back up into the rankings. Will he be a top guy? I don't know about that. I don't know that
he might be like a Aldo, where the even past their prime.
Aldo's too. I mean, Aldo is a top guy. There's a big difference between Aldo and Oliveira. I think Oliveira,
he was like ranked 6th in
bottom ranked guy, and Aldo's a top ranked guy.
I thought Aldo was more middle. I would say now maybe.
He's definitely middle now. I think Aldo's a little bit past his prime. Not a little bit. He's definitely past his prime. Right. But I'm just saying when you compare Oliveira and Aldo, like career-wise, Aldo was a beast.
No, absolutely.
Was not necessarily a beast in that level of the top tier of the ranking. So that's just my thought. If I'm wrong, call me out. Let me know. Who you guys think Oliveira might want next. But from the reality of what I see, I don't think Oliveira is going to be fighting any like big name guys yet.
Sure. And then the next fight was Paul Craig versus
Paul Craig. That was a fun fight. I like that one.
That quick. He got a submission in the first round.
I think he has. They were saying 3 to 4 triangles on the commentary. We had Paul Craig too. I mean, the first 3 fights we were looking to be batting 1,000 there. I mean, I liked Paul Craig. He really, that submission that he did on the triangle, he got taken down. and he looked so comfortable on the ground that it looked like he was happy to be taken down, and went right for that triangle and started positioning his leg up, to the shoulders and really pushing that head down to finish off that triangle. I mean, I like Paul Craig. I think he's another one that's a must-watch type guy that you just is exciting. It's exciting to see a guy like that go out there and put another submission, and then look so comfortable on the ground. He was on the bottom, and I'm just so impressed by some of these guys that can really finish a fighter on the ground.
And Craig has a pretty good record. He's at 13-4-1 in the light heavyweight division. Do you think that Craig is going to be? Craig, I should say, is going to be one of those guys that might be an up and coming guy that they might see promoted a lot, or is he going to be more of a guy that's going to be in the middle of the pack that'll just be?
I think he needs a couple more wins before we really start talking about any sort of push for him. But I think with what you saw this fight, it shows that he definitely has a skill set as well to really get in the rankings, right? I mean, you need to give him a ranked guy, I think, after that fight. He hasn't been very active in 2020. I think that was his first fight in 2020, but 2020 hasn't been a great year for anybody.
Right.
So I'd love to see him get back in there real quick. It didn't look like he took too much damage. Got like a little swole on his right eye, but it was fun. It was fun to see that. Yeah, that was a good fight. I liked it a lot, actually. And
then we get to the final four fights, and then the first one that we have up was a decision that went all 3 rounds. It was Carly Esparza, versus Marina Rodriguez, and Marina, she was undefeated. She was 12-0-2, going against Carly, and Carly pulled out the win. What do you think about that?
What did your boy tell you?
Yeah,
I
told you liked Carly.
Carly was going to be scrappy. I told you that she was going to be, she was going to be tough. She was going to be tough, and I've seen her fight. This was an impressive fight too for her. I think that she took it to the ground.
She had 5 takedowns.
Yeah, she took a rough elbow being on top after she was mounting her. She took a rough elbow to one of her, I think it was, she got cut on the maybe left eye. I'm not sure, but she got cut. She got roughed up a little bit on that elbow with those elbows, and it looked nasty early. And I was hoping like it wouldn't have gotten stopped because that cut looked ugly. But Carly was tough, man. I think she did a good job pulling off that win. Those takedowns really told the story and how scrappy she was and making it not I think it was Rodriguez's fight, really. She looked uncomfortable on the ground. She looked like she was, she wasn't that's not where she wanted to be, let's just say that.
Yeah, the one thing that I definitely noticed in the fight is that Carly had more strike attempts and she had more takedown attempts. She seems like she was just a more aggressive fighter overall, and I think that
she definitely was. The whole fight, I would say that she dictated the pace. She controlled. She had more control time. So I liked that fight too. I really like watching Carly fight. I mean, with that cut, who knows when she'll be back in? But we need to give her a top ranked person. I'd like to see her in title contention soon again. Maybe one more, or maybe
who would you think that's a good person for her to fight next?
In the strawweight division, it's hard. It's really hard to say. I mean, they really don't. There's nobody that screams out to me, she needs to fight her next. And I don't like to just pinpoint one fighter in who these guys are fighting next, because you never know. You never know. With everything going on, it's hard to tell you this specific person, or she didn't even call anybody out either.
So a lot of these guys have been pacifists. They're not headhunting like some of the other guys have been.
They're not, and I think you just need to rack up wins. That's going to dictate the pace and tell your story and where you're going next. Sure. And the UFC likes to really control that whole environment unless you're really a big name. And I mean, I'm not saying Carly isn't. Carly definitely has been a name. And she's been getting wins and racking up wins recently. So I see her moving up in the ranks, definitely being a top contender. And we'll see who they give her next.
And then the next fight, I think this was a fight that a lot of people were looking forward to. I know you really were looking forward to this fight. It was Gustafsson versus Verdum. And that was a submission in the first round, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in.
I think I'll take it right down the chin, guys. I'll take it right there to really underestimate and really downplay Verdum's ground game, man. I mean, he leads the way in heavyweight to have had the most submissions, and that's what made him a champion in the past. I was so focused on watching so many of Gustafsson's fights that I was just ready to see him come back from retirement and just get a W. I'll tell you, I'm disappointed, man, because I really wanted to see some more stand up. I really wanted to see Gustafsson kind of pick his shots and get a W there, because I just want to see him continue to fight, because he's such a great fighter, and I didn't want him to take another loss and possibly continue down that road of retiring. I don't think he will after seeing this one, because it was one of those things where if you saw him, I mean, he was fighting through for that armbar. He was fighting his way to not let go of that arm. And, I mean, Verdum just did a great job. I think that shows that although he might be past his prime, he can be very much trouble on the ground. And if he gets you on the ground, that jiu-jitsu by Verdum can really put you away real quick.
Now, in the heavyweight division, if I'm not mistaken, Cormier is going for his last fight. I think it's like in August, right? Versus,
I don't know that he's going to necessarily. I don't know that this is going to be his last fight, but he's kind of been wish-washy. He's retiring, not retiring. It's
right. He seems like he's going more into like the TV side or trying to go that way.
Sorry, some background noise over here.
No, it's all good. I mean, yeah, but what I was saying is this: do you think that Verdum is going to get a shot now that there seems to be a little bit of I don't know about retirement, but at the top of the heavyweight division, it seems like there may be an opportunity for someone to go and take charge, especially if we have some guys retiring up there. Do you think that Verdum's going to get another shot, or he's close to it?
I think Verdum needs like 3 wins before he gets a shot. That wasn't definitely defining nothing in there on that. Other than, I mean, yes, he beat Gustafsson.
Start of a comeback, maybe.
Sign of a comeback. He needs 2 to 3 wins to even consider.
It was a pretty decisive win, though. He did come out convincingly.
Don't get me wrong. Verdum's a former heavyweight champ. I'm just saying that he needs 3 wins at least to be even in sort of consideration. He's in the later years of his career, and there's a lot of guys ahead of him that I would put way ahead of him. And Ngannou, one of them, that's the title shot.
Ghana is the number 1 guy you think in that division that's going to deserve it?
Absolutely. Everybody knows Ngannou is definitely up next. So he's been knocking everybody out, and that's who I would say would probably get the next shot after this Stipe, which I think that's another story for another day. But I think Stipe is probably win that trilogy. But we'll keep it going on this one.
So then the co-main event, we had Marcio Rua versus Nogueira. And that one went all 3 rounds. It went to decision. Rua ended up with the victory, but what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, Shogun pulled that one off. I think that one was a close one, and I would have given it to Shogun. Nogueira was close. Definitely, it made it 3-0 actually on their matches. So. That really just defined it. He said Shogun Rua said he probably wants 1 or 2 more fights. So that these guys were at the tail end of their career. It was nice to see them co-main. That's good for them. But yeah, that one wasn't one that I was too much looking forward to.
Right. More of a battle of fighters in their twilight, just getting a shot to shine again.
Yeah, and Shogun was obviously at his prime. He was really one of the top guys. So it was nice to see him get a nice W there. But I don't think he's even in the next 2 fights he's saying that he wants to have. He probably should have one more maybe. That's my thought behind that one.
And then last but not least, we have the main event, which went all 3 rounds into decision. It was Whitaker versus Till. I think Whitaker fought a very technical fight, even if he said afterwards, he was like, my brain hurts. Like, this was a very, it was a grind.
Feints. He was doing all these feints in front of Till, kind of joking around. I mean, listen, it wasn't a war. It wasn't a brawl. I think both of these guys were very technical. They were really just measuring each other. Till didn't want to get knocked out. He's been knocked out a few times already, so he knows what that's like. Same thing with Whitaker. He's coming from a knockout from, Izzy. So these guys were both really kind of, technically matching it well with each other. And it wasn't like Whitaker decisively really took him to school. He definitely did win the more rounds, 4-1, I would say, probably.
Well,
decision wise.
I think after the first round, I think Whitaker really just started to hold himself down. And I think one thing, if you look at the fight stats, Whitaker threw a lot more punches. He threw 188 total strikes versus Darren Till's 108. And then significant strikes, I'll just pull up the stats here just so everyone can take a quick look. Significant strikes, he had 157 versus 99. And then he went for 13 takedowns. So, I mean, it just looks like Whitaker was just so much more the active fighter during this event versus Till. Yeah. But Till looks like he was just gunning it out for most of the second half.
Listen to what he said on the post fight. He basically said that he blew out his knee with Whitaker doing one of those stomp kicks.
On his leg? Oh, yeah.
That he thinks should be illegal now, which, by the way, Till used to use all the time. So was laughing about that and saying that. So my thought behind that is that, listen, it was a technical fight. It wasn't the war I was hoping for, but it was still a good fight. Where these guys go from here, in my thought process, is that, listen, Whitaker probably gets another shot, or the winner of Paulo Costa and Izzy, and Till it probably gets the winner of Yoel and Uriah Hall. I think that Till is absolutely still a stud. He showed in there that, he can fight with the number one former champ. If Whitaker was champ and you saw that fight, you'd think he stood up to him and had really, he almost knocked him out with that elbow when he moved in with Till has these elbow shots that really push the pace. What you were saying?
And what I was going to say is, like, if you said about Darren Till getting injured in the middle of the fight, the fact that he was able to gut out the rest of the fight being, dealing with a leg injury like that, it speaks a lot to his heart.
He made no excuses. It was brought up, but it's because some of those guys were like, they noticed and they asked him about it, and he said, "Listen, no excuses. Robert was the better fighter that night," and
but that shows a lot of heart. And that's something you do want to see in your fighters. I definitely would say that.
To be honest with you, than the trash talking Till, he looked he was much more humble, much more down to earth. It didn't look like he felt any pressure in there. The one thing I will tell you that I don't like about MMA sometimes is that, listen, in the cage, I think it affects guys like Till, maybe even Max Holloway when he was fighting, when they're big up in each other every round. Because I feel like you almost like taking care of each other, and you should. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you shouldn't, but you're kind of like not in this hunter's mentality, or you're not bringing that pressure. I'm not.
It makes you a little soft.
Yeah, I'm not big up in you in round 2 after we've had a tough one or even round 4.
After the fight is one thing, but during the fight is another.
Yeah, and I think that affected Holloway in his first fight with Volkanovski. I think in the second one, you saw that he wasn't dapping nothing. He was like, "Let's go, baby. You hitting with those kicks? I'm ready for you." Same thing here. I think Till, that might have affected a little bit of his game. I think he was so, it was such a like, "Oh, I got respect for you. You got respect for me." I think some of those guys, when they have like much more of that ambition, like, I'm out to get you and I'm out to beat you, like
a Conor, like how Conor comes out to just, I don't want to shake hands, I want to knock your head off.
Right. And then after the fight, listen, all sportsmen shake hands, all that, absolutely, mad respect. Make sure that they wake up after that knockout and they see the twilight. But
you're not like the bad boy Pistons when you knock up Michael Jordan and then when you lose you walk off the court.
No, the bad boy Pistons did that shit wrong, and they know that they try to act like it was they didn't mean to do that. Whatever. But that's a story, another story for another day.
So I got 2 questions before we wrap up here. Yeah. And my first question is this. You spoke about Max Holloway and that last fight, which was a very controversial decision. The judges, Dana White came out and even said he thought it was a bad card. What do you think is next for Max Holloway? Where does he go from there?
You give him the third fight. You can't have
a third fight.
You can't have and he's 2-0 against him. I get it, but Max absolutely won that second fight.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that thinks otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. And I don't care that it was close or not. I mean, Max dominated, and there should have been some of those rounds that should have been 10-8. And I don't care that they're talking about this 10-9 systems. We don't live in that world, so we don't have to go or dictate by those rules. The reality is, if you're a fan like we are and you watch that fight, I say that Max could have won that fight even 4-1 rounds. So the fact that you're giving 3-2, well, if you look at the scorecard, the round 5 is what they gave Max instead of round 3.
5 they gave to Max? I mean, I thought he won 1 and 2 for sure.
Well, they gave, so everybody was contesting round 3, and
round 3 was debatable.
The one that they were saying Max won and Max lost. So round 3 is where everybody was saying that it should have been for Max. But then you had the scorecard by the refs, and they gave him round 5. So round 5, you're gonna give these guys rounds based off of a takedown with no damage. That needs to go out the window. If you're taking me down and you're not even landing a punch or two, that's ridiculous. I mean, and Volkanovski knew that in the last 40 seconds. What, is he smart for doing that? Give him his props for trying to get it, for getting a takedown. Mm-hmm. Don't give me none of that. When you were talking all this trash and you were out there saying I'm gonna put him away. I mean, really, that was just. I really don't even want to get into that one, because I feel like it'd be another 15 minutes of me getting right on Volkanovski, and he knows he didn't win that fight, and to go out there and say that he did, it's just, to me. I mean, just go out there and fight whoever you want next. He's talking about he has tough skin when Triple C's calling him out. They want to make that fight. That's clearly what happened there. If you ask me, some of those guys were in somebody's pocket. They're probably trying to bait out Henry out of retirement. They're going to put Henry up against this man. And if you ask me, Henry's probably going to beat this guy. And then what are you going to have? Then vacant belt, because Henry's not going to fight Max. So put Max back in there. He's the real champ. You're going to get Max to win the title again and fight, the likes of every top guy. Max picked off every top guy. Aldo, T-City, everybody that came his way, he fought. And he got a little bit careless with Volkanovski, because the guy definitely is a problem. But the reality is, he's not a bigger problem than Max. Sure. So I'll tell you, I'll be there for 5 minutes going on. So.
Well, that's why I wanted to touch on that real quick as we wrap up, because I know it's something that you've been really passionate about. And I wanted to really get that out there, because I know Max Holloway's fight has been talked about by a lot of people.
Yeah, and listen, both guys are humble. Don't get me wrong on Volkanovski. I think he's a great person too. Like, I like the type of person he is. Character, carries himself well, and I always appreciate people who are like that. And but Max, again, I think Max was the better fighter that night. And just don't take away. These guys train so long. When you take away a fight, that's what got me away from boxing. When you take away a fight from somebody who wins it, was it close? I guess whenever you leave it in the hands of the judges, I mean, it's always a toss-up, man, but I don't know. It's just my thought.
And then the last question that I have for you is this. As we're going forward and the fight nights just finished out, what's the fight that you're most looking forward to going forward that's already set up?
I mean, what's next? Stipe and DC, right? So I think I'm always excited for the next one. I'm always, what's next, So if you ask me, I know that the next one is Derek Brunson and that new kid who's undefeated, who's managed by Ronda Rousey. I think that one's gonna be cool, but it's not something that I'm gonna say, hey, I'm really most excited.
Brunson versus Shabazan.
Yeah, Shabazan, something like that. He used to train
He's
with
22 years old.
Yeah, super young guy, and apparently very impressive. Derek Brunson needs to win on that one. But if you're asking me which one I'm most excited about, definitely that's not the one. DC Stipe 3 is the one I'm most excited about. August 15th. I got Stipe on that one. I'd like to see Stipe solidify himself as the best heavyweight of all time. And
isn't it right now? It's 1-1, right?
It's 1-1. But I think Stipe has made the necessary adjustments to put DC away again. And if you watch that first fight, you saw Stipe got caught with that left hook by DC. I don't think that's happening again. And on the second fight, you saw he was taking those hits much, much better and adjusted to really DC style. DC pretty much said, bring your wrestling shoes, bring your wrestling gear. I'm going to wrestle you. I'm not going to stay. I'm not going to stay on the feet with you, because why would you? If you got DC's ability, why are you standing up, right?
Right.
I hope it doesn't always. is not like a huge wrestling kind of thing, but I still like Stipe the whole way. So I'm gonna go Stipe all the way on that one, and that's the one I'm most excited about next.
All right. So you guys heard it here first. We got Stipe coming out to beat Cormier in that event on August 15th. But we want to thank you guys for coming by and watching the recap of UFC Fight Night. We hope you enjoyed everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the post so we can help more people with some of our betting advices. The Vegas Snake Eyes, we posted some of their money line bets during the fight on the Instagram and Facebook pages. So don't forget to check us out. That'll be at the Daily Sporting on all platforms. Don't forget us. We appreciate your time. And Dave, any parting words to everyone?
That's it, man. Just keep watching us when it comes down to all things sports, right? Fantasy, UFC. We're going to keep bringing you guys content. We're going to do an opening week on MLB. That's been amazing. Glad sports are back. We touched on some of them not coming back, and now they are. So I'm just glad we're there. And, everybody out there, stay safe, wear your mask, and do what you got to do so we can get rid of this pandemic, man.
Absolutely. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy, and, until next time.